folks, good morning and welcome to Smile Jamaica. It is Thursday, April 17, and we welcome everyone on onespotmedia.com on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, TelevisionJamaica.com, our friends in the Cayman Islands at Television Jamaica International, and wherever you are. Absolutely amazing to have you with us. Hope you had a great day, a great night, and we pray that you have an awesome day going into the Easter weekend, holiday weekend for some. Not for...
I don't know, Neville, because there was a time, and in recent times, where half-day work used to happen on a Holy Thursday.
It don't happen no more?
Apparently not. I think we just forgot about it. I just kind of floated past the time. Because I saw a notice that said, full office hours today. I may say, yeah.
Why have they though?
Because it's a longer weekend. So usually, I know Holy Thursday, you go home half day, you get your stuff together, get the children together, because it's going to be a long holiday weekend.
But because it's a longer weekend, you must work all day Thursday.
Eh?
Yeah, because you not come back and work till Tuesday.
I want to tell you, so every employee in Jamaica just thank God, you're not them boss.
No, but you get Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Correct.
Man, you can't work Thursday.
Which you have earned. Because of the hard work that
as
you
I just said, you get Friday because I'll be here tomorrow morning. I'll be here Monday morning, so I don't get it.
Why?
Working.
Well, somebody's got to do it. No, true, because I was saying to someone like I know a couple of years ago on a Holy Thursday between like 8:30 and maybe 1 o'clock, the road is crazy because everybody's trying to get business done, everybody's trying to get home, but then after 2 o'clock, you can't just drive around freely.
Is that not a reason that's why you must stay at work? And the road must.
But I don't. I don't know. I just wondered, how do we just decide not to do it? If there was a Ministry of Labor edict or something, or boss just say, them not gonna know if we not give them. So I don't know.
By the way, folks, years ago I was involved in a father's race. And when I look beside me, to the left and to the right, I know I couldn't beat them people there. So as I come out of the blocks, I pull up. Race done for me. I want you to watch this mother's race and tell me if you think that this is fair. Look at this mother's race here. We have it yet? Yeah, look at this. Look at that lady in front. Look at that. No, look, you see, nobody is not in a frame at all, you know. That is Mrs. Shelley Ann Fraser Price. No, look at this, look at this.
What I would like to bring to your attention is that even in the parents' race, look at Shelley's form. Not even one time Shelley, you couldn't drop the form a little bit.
Well, if somebody never tell me it was a parents' race, I don't think it's just one parent around. Because we don't see nobody else. Eh? No, sir. And then yesterday we showed a little man like this, who win by the same distance that Shelley win. A Safa's son.
That's right.
No.
Did you see his form?
Look
a youth have form early, look a youth have form.
No, but if I look beside me and I see Shelley, before them even say, on your marks, I pull up.
No, me I go run.
Run, go
oh,
home.
You mean, no.
Where you run, go?
No.
You're running where?
Never.
Yeah.
The tale of the hunt is never told until the lion tells his story. You see all me? Me say, hey, you know who I come third to yesterday? Shelley Ann Fraser Price. And that me want you know. Me want you ask some of the Olympic athletes, them I run against her. 5th, 6th, me come third. Me come third.
Yeah.
You check some people from the US. When you run against Shelley, how much you come? 5th, third.
No. But,
third.
No, but you need to finish the story.
No, that's on my story.
No, I came third.
You see, you're the untied man, the lion.
No, you must tell the people, I came third the following day.
No, semantics.
She run gone a long time. It's the next day before I reached it.
Hold on. They must have a picture on the podium, you know.
Yeah.
Good.
And you come third.
And me have on the third. No more story no need for tell. Somewhere later on in life, they said, Dela, what was your moment? I said, running against Olympic champion, 8 time, and come third.
interesting. I agree.
I say a fight jump is because, see, I didn't believe in myself. I would have gone to the Olympics if I did think about it. Third, how much medal Jamaica could have win through me?
You could have gone like the man who go to the Olympic gate with the roll of barbed wire and say him is part of the team and them ask him what you do and him say fencing.
Yes. Neville, Clive gave you that joke.
No, it's a true story.
That's so like a Clive
No,
joke.
it's a true story.
And Clive right now, the amount of drinks he might go buy between now and the end of the year, don't try them.
Anyway, Mrs. Fraser-Price, you look awesome. I hear that this year might be the last year. I think you're just going to win at the World Championship. She's absolutely amazing. She has I've used this word every time I speak about her, I use the same word. She has a fierceness about her that you just feel that if she say I'm going to win, nobody can beat her.
Yeah.
She's an absolutely amazing athlete, amazing person, and we wish them all very, very good luck. Whole heap of things happening this year leading into the World Championship. The Diamond League starts, I think, this month. I think it starts on the 26th, I think is the first one. So good luck to them all. All right, folks, let me tell you what's coming up on the show this morning. International recording artist from the British Virgin Islands, Monéa, I think it's pronounced, joins us for our Caribbean check-in. Daily will speak with her.
Are you struggling to write those grand proposals? Can we all say yes? Well, grant advisor Stephanie Lumley is going to join us, and she's going to share some practical tips on how to write for grants.
Plus, Jamaicans for Justice is ready to take action against police brutality, not my word. We explore that topic for our 7 o'clock with policy and advocacy specialist Jade Williams.
And for 10 minutes to your health, we discuss when grief doesn't go away, exploring complicated grief and PTSD.
All right, folks, so much happening for Smile, but I have some birthdays. This one I got from us about Monday, and every single morning I say I'm going to do it tomorrow morning, and I still don't do it, so I'm going to do it now. Well,
was the birthday Monday?
The birthday was I want to say I get this from Saturday.
Oh my God!
Which means the birthday was Monday.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, the 14th.
You find it?
It
won't go and left you like Shelly.
I find it, but them not give me no name. It said, please wish my wonderful, magnificent auntie a wonderful and blessed birthday, 14th of April, coming from me, Anne-Marie, and all her countless nieces and nephews. But them not give me no name.
Must name Magnificent?
Well, here is Magnificent. With a lovely Jamaican outfit. I'm so sorry because I did get this in time, so I apologize.
Yeah, man.
Magnificent. But they don't give me a name, so hopefully whoever sent it to me will see this. And I will.
Magnificent, I go with a bag of things in a tie shirt.
Lovely shirt, man.
Fascinating.
Like a Jamaica deer or something.
Something. It's something.
Over here now, I don't feel a vibration, so Clive, don't send me nothing. Yeah. Where am I? All right. Shernet. No, this is from Shernet. It says, happiest birthday to my dear co-worker, friend and sister in Christ, Stephanie Thompson. And it says, remain beautiful in Christ. Here's Miss Stephanie. No, Miss Stephanie, man, you're bossy proper. Love that outfit. Bossy, proper.
Ooh, I love it.
Look at that. Happy
Look at those colors.
Yeah, man, have some fun today. You look like you just reached the age where you can have a little bit of wine.
No, she in the front of the church sign. Nothing.
She can't win. No wine. And it says, happy birthday to Shamika Daly from your mom, your 2 kids, your aunt, your cousins. And after all that, them say from the rest of the family. Then who else leave in your family if it's your aunt, cousin, and everybody?
Your nephew.
This pure bossy picture this morning.
Niece.
Happy birthday. And many, many happy returns. Me thinks, hold on. Yeah, me thinks that's it. Where's your phone? Where's your phone?
Not where I am.
That's why I asked you, wait there. You forget it?
Just say it's where it's supposed to be.
I was going training the other day, and when I got to my gate, I realized, I said, I don't have my phone, and I just bust out a laugh and go and drive.
Pretty much.
No, man, lovely jubbly. So nobody
needs to reach me between now and 8:30, they know where to find me.
Yeah, you can call me, and I will give her the phone. Here are some other folks having a birthday
If I didn't know that offer was open to me, I'd give out the number to everybody and say, oh my God.
Have some fun, folks.
We're going to start now, people.
time for the hot topics, folks.
Here we go.
So Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is warning dons and gangsters who think they are entitled to protection and control of developmental lands owned by the state to try and see. He said he thought very carefully about driving home the point, which was a reiteration of comments he had made during a previous groundbreaking for the new wing at the Spanish Town Hospital. At that groundbreaking, I'm quoting here, I was quite clear that if it took the deployment of the JDF to secure the site and to run the site as if it were a military barracks, then that is what I will do to ensure that no criminal, that no don, that no one who feels they have control over any area can come here and say they are securing the site or extorting. He said the government could not allow such actions to take hold at the start of the construction, as it would mean the administration had given up the sovereign control of the state over the development and set the basis on which crimes like extortion would reign. I quote the Prime Minister again. So for those criminals listening, for those dons listening, for those who feel that they have control over this area, try it and see. Yeah, man, try it and see. Play the fool and find out. Adding that he could not be any clearer in this position. I keep telling people it took us 9 years to get this point. In speaking of the decline in crime, particularly murders, there are those who believe that what is happening today started yesterday. Well, there you go.
Can't get clearer than that.
Tough words.
Consumer confidence in the economy hit an all-time high in the quarter ending March, surpassing the record set in 2019, months before the COVID-19 pandemic broke out, according to the latest JCC Business and Consumer Confidence Indices released on Tuesday. Business confidence, on the other hand, normalized in March from recent Christmas highs. Looking at consumer confidence, that index reached 183.7 points, which passed the previous peak of 183.4 points in 2019. Confidence increased 8.7 points over December 2024 and 9.0 points more than the March 2024 quarter. Increased entrepreneurship and participation in the tourism sector accounted for the rise in confidence, and that's coming from the Don Anderson Market Research Services Limited survey he conducts on behalf of the JCC. He says we can see that what is driving that largely is confidence amongst consumers in the tourist-related industry and tourist-related businesses and tourist-related areas, less so in Kingston. Some 600 consumers were interviewed for the survey, as well as 100 businesses. It also indicated a 4.5% increase among consumers who reported favorable business conditions. And there was a 6% increase among consumers who anticipated an improvement in business conditions over the same period. We'd be interested to kind of figure out where that is now with all that's going on and people being a little less confident to travel and vacation and yeah.
This one is amazing news. We said this before, that Jamaican American Emmy Award-winning actress, Mrs. Sherry Lee Ralph, was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on Wednesday, recognizing her significant contributions to the entertainment industry. The ceremony, held at 6623 Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles, California, marked the unveiling of the 2,808th star in the television category, celebrating Ralph's exceptional work across television, film, and Broadway. That's her family right there, husband, son, and daughter. In her address to family, friends, colleagues, and fans, Sherry Lee reflected on her journey. And I quote, "I'm standing with all of you on this boulevard, and I can still feel that determined spirit of that little girl who dared to dream big." She shared a lesson from her mom, Ivy Ralph. "Growing up, I felt my big dreams had to be whispered because that type of ambition could be mistaken for arrogance. But my immigrant mother would look me in the eye and say what we always say in Jamaica, good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good is better and your better is best." As she expressed her gratitude, she noted that if you see me now, I don't look like my journey. There were days, and not so long ago, when I couldn't even get into the room for an audition. And now I'm literally cemented as part of the Industries Foundation.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Wow. Wow.
Congratulations.
People never know the story, eh? They just see the glory, but she has been on a journey.
Yep. And I don't know if many people know this. She used to come, well, she still does come to Jamaica, but she used to come to Jamaica and do this show
once a year.
Once a year by herself for a week.
Yes.
Yeah, she would come when we were up at JBC and up at South Odeon, and she would come every year and she would host Smile Jamaica by herself once a week. She'd do it for a week and she'd do it every year. She would come in and do that. But outside of that, what she's done, as we said, film, television, Broadway, absolutely amazing. And again, congratulations, ma'am. And I know you still have.
Also goes to show you, I like to tell people, never give up.
Yep.
Because where she is now and her capacity to now be winning Emmys and, people that said, she's been in it for a while, maybe she should retire, but now it's a whole new, it's like a whole new career has kicked off for Sherry Lee, and we're so happy for her.
Yeah, man. Well done.
Well, the Maldives has changed its immigration law, people will say Maldives, to bar people from entering the country with Israeli passports in a show of outrage over the war in Gaza. The amendment was passed by Parliament on Monday and approved by President Mohamed Morsi on Tuesday, according to a statement from the President's office. The Maldives Immigration Service clarified that Israeli citizens who have a second passport would be able to enter the country. The cabinet took the decision nearly a year ago, but the government did not formalize it until this week. The ratification reflects the government's firm stance in response to the continuing atrocities and ongoing acts of genocide committed by Israel against the Palestinian people. Maldives is a tiny archipelago state south of India, known as a high-end tourist destination. It is predominantly a Sunni Muslim nation where preaching and practicing other faiths is legally banned. According to the latest available immigration statistics, 59 people with Israeli passports entered the Maldives in February.
Interesting.
Yeah, beautiful place.
Yeah.
I didn't know that other religions were legally banned.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Didn't know that either. This little headline here says silent crisis, and it says Jamaicans ignorant about their human rights. Now, we had the public defender on this week. I think it was Monday we had her on because I think they're celebrating a week. And it says the country's public defender has raised an alarm over a mounting human rights crisis, emphasizing that widespread ignorance among Jamaicans about their human rights is enabling the state to trespass on their fundamental rights. It's an incredible statement.
Yeah.
It says, this is Mrs. Carolyn Reid Cameron, King's Counsel. She says that she has called for urgent public education on human rights, not just in the area of education or youth, but on a broad scale as the issue touches many areas. I quote, she says, I have found that in this country, incrementally, we're leaning back and allowing a lot of our rights to be taken away from us or allowing our rights to be encroached upon, and we are comfortable with it. So the crisis or the human rights challenge that I see is the fact that we're not generally aware of our rights and we're comfortable allowing the state to slowly encroach on those rights. We do not appreciate that we are in jeopardy. Some big words.
She's correct.
Some big words.
And I wouldn't just limit it to the state. Remember we were just talking about it this morning, Neville, where I said the half day just kind of disappeared. I'm not saying it shouldn't go, but I'm saying what was the original, thing that said it should? And I find that there are a lot of workers' rights that are being infringed upon. A lot of workers' rights. And workers just fold them hand and say, well, I'm being paid, so I'm just going to be grateful I have a job and just keep my mouth shut. But there are rights as a worker.
By the way, the Public Defender and the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, and you will see some of them in a little while. They have a big group here with us this morning. They've been conducting sensitization sessions to educate the public on their rights and responsibilities and to inform them which agencies to contact if they feel their rights have been breached. As an extension of the issue of human rights awareness, CPFSA legal officer Jana Harris underscored the need for adults to understand the rights of children.
Correct.
She highlighted that many people are ignorant of children's rights and their entitlement to personhood, And I quote, they don't believe that children should have a say, that children should be heard. So we are saying that we should acknowledge children as human beings, as persons, because people don't understand the long-term effects of slapping a child, always verbally quarreling with the child, shouting at the child, scolding the child. It really does impact their self-esteem, their self-confidence, and how they present themselves to the world.
Their rights to education.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Their rights to good health.
That's incredible.
Children have rights. And it's funny to me because we're a nation that fought so hard for our rights.
Yep.
And we fought so hard to be recognized as humans, you know, our history is that.
Yep.
And I feel like now we're just almost sleeping on what our forefathers struggled for us.
I remember seeing years ago, and I kind of go, it's true though. Children are people too, you know, whether we like it or not, they do have a say. But sometimes, like I used to hear that from my mother all the while, children must be seen.
And not heard.
And not heard. I used to hear that all the time.
Sometimes they allow you to see them and then it's not pretty, so hear them.
Yep.
Hear them.
All right, folks, that's it for the hot topics. All right, when we come back, it's the first edition of News in 5, and then after that, we'll start our interviews, and Delia will have the first one, Caribbean Check-In. Stay with us, please. Soon come.
Good morning, I'm Carrie Simpson with News in 5 for Thursday, April 17. Special welcome to our viewers on TVJ International in the Cayman Islands and online at onespotmedia.com. The Prime Minister is sending a clear message to persons who obtain development lands for a specific purpose but fail to fulfill their obligations. Dr. Andrew Holness was speaking at Wednesday's contract signing and groundbreaking ceremony for the Raintree Commercial Complex in St. Catherine.
The intention of government to transfer lands to people, for them to become land banks, meaning for them to gain from the capital appreciation in the value of the land and do nothing with it. That's not what this is about. And I want to be clear to the people who have purchased or who intend to purchase that there is a performance clause in the sale agreement that if you do not do what you proposed in the sale, when you purchase the land, then you would have violated that clause and the land would then return to the UDC at the sale price. I want to be very clear on that. This is not a speculative activity. If you intend to speculate, don't come here.
Complex is being undertaken by the Urban Development Corporation to the tune of $3.8 billion. It's expected to attract some 5,000 permanent jobs in several sectors, including logistics and manufacturing. Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Southern Fitz Jackson is calling on the local authority to address the issue of unoccupied lots contributing to a spike in bushfires in a section of Helsha in Portmore. During a recent visit to the Sandhills Bay and Sandhills Vista, the MP stressed that the issue was putting homes and lives at risk. He says he will be speaking to the Municipal Corporation and the Urban Development Corporation, which developed the two housing schemes.
By law, as I recall, the municipality can put a caveat on the property for failures or breaches that the owners might be guilty of. Many of these owners, private owners, live abroad, and the question of being able to locate them in a timely way to cause them to do what they ought to do.
Now, over a 4-day period, firefighters have responded to 95 bushfires more than a week ago. At least 13 schools across Clarendon are set to receive security fencing. This following mounting concerns as mentally ill persons continue to breach the boundaries of several schools, posing a serious threat to students. teachers and staff, especially at schools lacking proper safety fencing. The initiative is set to kick off this financial year, with Bustamante High being the first to benefit from the infrastructure upgrade.
In terms of CCTV cameras, 2 of our schools in the first phase have now been onboarded with their contractors to have these installed. That is Bustamante High and Claude McKay High School.
The China Harbour Engineering Company check is coming under fire from residents in Cotton Tree, St. Thomas, over a water issue the community members say started after recent road works in the area. CHEC is the main contractor for the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project in the parish. The residents say in carrying out road works, CHEC damaged pipelines in the community some months ago. They reported the issue to the National Water Commission.
I called down there yesterday for the last, and they sent 2 men. I don't know their name, but they said to me, the water, it get out of their control, is not their response again. I didn't ask them who, but they said because of the road working, because we have this serious situation about the water. So somebody else need. I said, then tell me who, because we need the water. Because I was saying to them, when we can't do it out, the light for a little while, the water is important. Light is important, yes, but you know, so water is life.
Now the amount of clothes we have packed up to wash, there is no water. And from water just come and it gone there now again. Just come look a while and it gone there.
We need urgent fixing of whatever is going on now. Urgently. This is urgent. Because I have a sick husband, I have to wash every day. What do I do when I cannot get the water?
We put the issue to Member of Parliament for Eastern St. Thomas, Dr. Michelle Charles.
We're currently working on the customer connections, and because of this, we are having and experiencing this low water pressure. In the meantime, we will continue to truck water to those residents that are in need, and we ask the residents to bear with us.
And that's your news in 5M. Kerry and Simpson. Stay tuned. Smile Jamaica continues right after these messages.
Our next guest is an international recording star. Monéa has carved a unique space in music with her signature sound, and she's joining us this morning for our Caribbean check-in. Good morning, Monéa. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Girl, I was going through your bio and I'm like, what? She's a star. But before I even get into that, tell me a little bit about growing up at British Virgin Islands. What's that like?
Well, I'm from a small island called Tortola in the British Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
So it was very close-knit, you know, that's small. And community.
All right, we're having a little bit of a challenge with connecting with Monéa. We're gonna sort that out a little bit, but just to give you some background on who it is that we're speaking to this morning, she has a signature sound, Tropicana, which is a captivating fusion of dancehall and pop. I think we got her back. Yeah, yes. So you say you grew up in Tortola?
Oh, it broke up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I grew up in Tortola. I was just saying that I just love the close-knit community of living on a small island, the beaches, the island hopping. I said that I had a lot of fond memories growing up, and we would rent a catamaran and just island hop and overnight on boats, jump off the boats into the water. So I just feel like it has shaped me to be exactly who I am today. So definitely love growing up. BBI.
Beautiful. How did you start out in music? Tell me a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so everything is self-taught. Obviously, growing up on a small island, you don't have a lot of resources. Mm-hmm. So I really started out dancing at first. And eventually I was like, I don't want to be in the background. I kind of want to be the star. So I was kind of like, I would write music. I was good at, making essays, doing poems. So I actually started out rapping at first. And then I made my way to finding my voice, in dancehall.
Girl, I mean, when I read it, I said, kudos to you, because getting into music is difficult. Doing it on your own all the way in Tortola is even more difficult. And then you're doing it in dancehall. Oh my gosh, tell me why dancehall?
I love dancehall. I love the energy. I love how it makes me feel. At the end of the day, I go in the studio and I make what feels authentic to me and what feels right to me. I love that dancehall is also very versatile. Like you could talk about a lot of different topics. You could talk about sex. You could talk about partying, but you could also talk about God.
Yeah.
I think that you have to have a certain kind of confidence and energy to deliver dancehall as well. And the thing is, like, I'm very influenced by dancehall, but obviously I'm not from Jamaica. I grew up in Jamaica, but Jamaica, I mean, dancehall is worldwide. So I feel like based on my influences and the music I listened to growing up, which includes dancehall, my music is basically a fusion of that.
Yeah. When I said to people that you're a star, I'm not just exaggerating. You got Caribbean Music Award nominations for Best New Artist, Dancehall, and Caribbean R&B Artist of the Year. And then in your own Virgin Islands, you got an Icon Award. How does that make you feel, Monéa?
It feels rewarding. I'm also honored to even be recognized, just to know that, you know, all your hard work is paying off finally. But, you know, all glory to God. I wouldn't be in this position without him. So I'm just grateful for purpose and passion.
All right. I said you have a signature sound. What has inspired you to create that sound?
Yeah, so growing up, like where I'm from is basically a melting pot. Like if you listen to the radio, you hear hip hop, you hear R&B. Then right after R&B song, you might hear a soca song. Right after soca, you might hear a country song. So it's very much a melting pot of different sounds, people from different places. And I feel like growing up, that influenced me into fusing all of that with dancehall. Because at the end of the day, it's a Caribbean sound, but I can only emulate like where I'm from.
Yeah. Yeah, but you work with a couple of our top names, lady. Tell me who are some of our Jamaican artists that you've been collaborating with. I know you've done work with Dexter, no?
Shout out to Dexter. I've also worked with some producers from Jamaica. I've worked with Milio Sounds. I've worked with, his name is Wave. I'm Wave. He has done a couple productions for Egyptian and stuff like that. So I have worked with some producers, but the biggest dancehall artist I've worked with from Jamaica is Dexter. Shout out to him.
Yeah, and that's a big name to work with, man. And Dexter is so cool. A lot of times when I was gonna say females in the music industry, but females in the creative business, it's not easy. It really is difficult. How do you navigate that as a woman, as someone who is in Tortola, BVI, but also trying to just make your name as you have in the Caribbean and in the world?
I think it's all about confidence and carrying yourself in a certain way where people respect you and actually feel where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I think I work hard on my craft. So I let that speak for itself, so I don't have to sell people on anything else besides the fact that, this girl could write really great songs, this girl could really perform. Like, I really make that the focal point of what I'm selling to anybody. And I think if we just focus on the talent, the music, I think it could definitely just continue to help you get further. Obviously, there's stuff in the way and things like that, but I just try to stay focused on, the positive and the art.
Yeah.
Basically.
What I like about you, Monéa, is that you keep pushing the artistry wherever you can. I mean, there was a TikTok challenge with Gypsy and then with Easy, so you're using the social media, but then you're touring with Dexter, you're opening for Vibes Cartel, and then you're starting your own concert series. So I feel like, you're owning and claiming your art. What drives you to do that? What motivates you to keep pushing?
I want to be the independency and having control of my destiny and my career, and also the lack of opportunities or the lack of basically people giving me anything. I believe that if I have to wait around for somebody to give me something, I might be waiting forever in vain. So to me, I have to make it happen for myself. Only I will care as much as I need to care about my career is me. Yeah. So I have to put myself out there and I have to create my own opportunities. So that's the cause of, especially my Tropicana concert series. It was a vibe where I was like, okay, I'm not getting booked maybe as much as I want to, but maybe I need to show people that I have people that will come out to my shows. I have a fan base. I have like a big show that I could put on that's like stadium worthy. So I was just like, I have to prove or show people what I can do.
I absolutely love it. Before you go, tell us, where can we find you on social media so that we can go and give you a shout out, give you some support?
Yes, The Official Monéa, basically on everything: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. So my name is spelled Monea. So The Official Monéa.
Guys, please go check her out. There's something for everyone on the album. So just go, so stream it. Everything. Look out for Monéa. Looking forward to seeing you in Jamaica.
Thank you. Yes, and it's crazy that I haven't been there yet, even though me and Dexter have that big song. So that's definitely something I have to do soon.
All right, looking forward to seeing you soon. International recording artist Monéa. Join us next week for another Caribbean check-in.
Be impressed now. Here is the Child Protection and Family Services Ensemble. So I had the privilege of hearing this group before, and I was impressed then, and I'm absolutely certain I will be impressed now. Here's the Child Protection and Family Services Ensemble, and they will now take the Smile stage, Mumblin Word.
They crucified my Lord, and he
Jamaicans for Justice is raising the alarm about police killings that have escalated over the years. And joining us this morning to shed light on this issue is Jamaicans for Justice Policy and Advocacy Specialist, Jade Williams. Good morning. Welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Morning, Mr. Williams. How are you, sir?
Well, good morning. It's Miss Williams. I'm the Policy Research and Advocacy Manager. Yes.
Hi, Jade.
I'm sorry. Hi, Jade. Well, I actually knew that. Don't know why I said Mr. You guys have decided that you want to protest, end police violence. Why did you want to go there?
Well, what we're looking at is a significant rise in the numbers that we've been seeing related to police fatalities. And it's been a consecutive trend over the past 5 years. We look at 2020, we saw 115, going to 127, going to 134, 155. Last year, we saw 189. And just in the last 5 months of 2024, 99 of those took place. Since this year, we've seen, since yesterday, 96. So we're looking at a significant rise in the numbers, and we think that this is something that deserves some increased scrutiny. And so we're doing our best to contribute to that scrutiny by hosting this protest.
How would you respond, Jade, to persons who say, okay, but JFJ are looking at the numbers as a whole figure? Have you looked at the specific incidents and determined whether or not in each incident what took place, I don't want to say warranted because that's a strong word, but that was, I would say, justifiable. That's the word I should say.
Sure. Well, we generally think that when we're seeing numbers like this, it is something that overall needs scrutiny, regardless of if we're going to be looking at each individual case. But we certainly have not made any pronouncements on the individual cases because, of course, investigations have not had the chance to be completed, etc. The challenge is that we will have to wait on those investigations, as in all of these shootings so far for this year, we've not seen the use of any body-worn cameras in any of these incidents. And that is a challenge for investigators, something that Indicom themselves have been calling for, because it allows for investigations to go much more quickly. And then we would be able to have that increased scrutiny on these incidents in a much more instant manner and be able to make some more concrete finalizations on what would have taken place. However, what we are looking at in terms of fatalities is overall a concern. If we are to look at, for example, Indicom's 2024 report and the number of those persons who were killed out of that 189, 13% of those persons were unarmed. And another 9% of those persons had no firearm weapon, those being like knives or machetes. If we look at the trend over 2021 to 2023, we would have seen 47 persons who were mentally ill persons who were also armed with non-firearm weapons that would have been killed in those instances. So even as we scrutinize the individual incidents over the period, not looking at 2025 now, because of course those investigations wouldn't have been completed, there's still a cause for concern on our end.
And even though I understand that, to piggyback on Delia's question, is it not a little bit unfair to just put a broad brush on the fact that it is 96 without looking at them and say, well, maybe this one, someone was protecting themselves, this one was self-defense. Would it not be more prudent to do it that way and then make a pronouncement?
Again, I think in a country like Jamaica that would have seen historically, prior to Indicom's existence, for example, consistent annual numbers of over 200, and to see us going back towards those numbers, I think it's something that we have to be concerned about, even without looking at the minutiae of the individual incidents. But even as we look at those individual incidents, for example, if we look at some of those from last year, where we would have seen in the immediate, the JCF report that there was a confrontation or a shootout. And then in the following up investigation where CCTV evidence was provided, for example, that directly would have contradicted the JCF accounts. As a human rights organization at JFJ, this is our everyday. We see the incident on the news, we see the report from the JCF, and then the family is calling us to tell us that this is not as has been reported in the news. And as a human rights organization, we have to raise that concern.
All right. Are there systemic reforms that you want to see happen in terms of the process?
Of course, as we again look at this, we call for the body-worn cameras. We have seen from our police commissioner that 750 have been procured, that we are looking at infrastructure to implement them. We want to know what is the time period to see this infrastructure finalized. When is it that we will be able to say that in planned operations, for example, where we saw a large percentage of last year's fatalities, that we can deploy some of these 750 cameras so that we can have that increased scrutiny on these incidents and increased trust from our citizens when these incidents happen. Because when we see these contradictory accounts, then there is that issue of trust between the citizen and the police that overall is worse for our policing. Then again, we want to see our police force be better supported, increased training, increased provision of less lethal force options for our police officers so that when they engage with persons who are unarmed or persons who are armed with less lethal forces that are not firearm, they are able to respond with equivalent force rather than using their firearms.
Yeah. Months ago, the Minister Chang said in response to why the police officers were not using the body-worn cameras, said if there is a shootout, then the police officer would probably have to go down the ground to protect themselves, and then the cameras would make any sense in that respect. You buy that?
Well, Neville, I think when we are looking at the fact that there can be a dispute as to whether or not there was even a shootout, we can see how the camera would be useful for the officer as well. Because if the camera footage is showing you dodging bullets coming from a citizen, then we are clearly substantiating your account that there was a shootout. And so it is a significant boon to investigators and to those officers to substantiate their accounts. So I would say even in those cases, the body-worn cameras would be useful and something that we should be considering to implement in a much quicker pace than we seem to be communicated that we're getting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You said earlier, Jay, that one of the things that is driving the protest is the fact that the incidents happen and then you get calls that will say, no, it's not as reported. And I understand that one of the things you'll be doing with the protest is including victim testimonials. How important is it to include testimonials in an event like this?
I think what it does is it brings back to those of us who are simply looking on this, who are not involved with JFJ, not involved with the JCF, what the reality is for those persons who are on the other side of those news stories. And for those mothers, those sisters, those parents who have lost their loved ones and have had to deal with, in their mind, a desecration, essentially, of their memory, where they are assumed to be persons involved in crime, when in their estimation, that was not the case. Mm-hmm. So for us, it is important for us to amplify those voices, for persons to really understand that outside of these statistics, there are people behind these numbers who are feeling real pain and need to be able to see that that essential accountability in these cases. Yeah,
it is easy to understand why you want to protest, but what do you think will happen at the end of the protest?
Well, what we're hoping for is for our public to be looking more deeply at these incidents, at these numbers, to be calling for that increased accountability, to be joining us when we're asking for those body-worn cameras, to be supporting investigations with the Independent Commission of Investigations, where we know things, we make sure that we make our reports, and for that increased accountability to be happening overall. And even outside of the protest, JFJ will continue to do its work, supporting families, supporting victims, but also doing our advocacy for that systemic change. Whatever legislative provisions that we can advocate for as well, we will continue to do that work. So we're just hoping that following this protest, we will see more of our citizens calling for that increased accountability, and then that increased call resulting in some better outcomes for our victims and families.
Yeah, final question from me. What about Indicom? Are they doing what they're supposed to be doing? Do they have enough, what's the word I want, leeway to go about their business? What do you think?
Well, JFJ's position has always been that Indicom could use some increased powers in terms of its ability to investigate. It's one of our few investigative bodies that does not also have the power to initiate a prosecution. But outside of that, I think what Indicom could continue to use is the support of our citizens while they continue to conduct their investigations. And in the absence of the deployment of the body-worn cameras that would assist those investigations, what we need is our citizens coming forward and being able to give that evidence. So we get the reports at JFJ and we ask those persons who come to us, have you spoken to Indicom? Have you given your statement there? And oftentimes there is fear, that if they get involved in the investigation may not go quickly enough for a result, and that leaves them in a fearful position for too long a period, and it's just something that they're not willing to risk. So I think Indicom could also be supported by us looking at those witness protection provisions that we have and how we can support witnesses who want to come forward in these cases that have those contradictory accounts but are afraid of retaliation or are simply fearful that if they come forward, they might be putting a target on their back.
Yep. All right. Thanks for speaking with us this morning. Apologies again. Blessings.
No. Thank you both for having me.
Yeah, man. The Jamaican for Justice Policy and Advocacy Specialist, Jade Williams.
Coming up next, we discuss practical tips on grant writing.
Soon come. So are you intimidated by grant proposal that it's allowing you to lose out on funding for your organization? Well, look no further. Stephanie Lumley is a grant advisor. Good morning. Great to see you.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Who's a grant advisor, please?
Okay, so it's a really fancy term for a person who supports the organization or individual through the grant process and submission. So I'm like a detective, I'm like a coach. I play this role to ensure that my clients or whoever is applying puts their best foot forward because it's a very competitive process.
Grant mean you're giving them money, it's not a loan?
No, and grants and loans are very separate things. Grants doesn't require a financial repayment, although funders normally ask for like interim reports and different like pictures or videos of updates of the project.
Yeah, they want to see some deliverables.
They have to get a return on investment.
Yeah. What do you think are the most challenging aspects of grant writing? When most of your clients, what are the most challenging things for them?
Well, it is an intimidating process because they ask for a lot, and each funder is totally different. It's like learning different dialects of a language. So you have to ensure that you understand what the funder is asking for and also that you understand the type of projects they support. And if that aligns with your organization and your project that you're looking to fund, then it's perfect.
So I want to start a football academy,
yes,
and I want TVJ to fund it. What I do?
Well, TVJ will have to be a funder. Normally, funders send out a call for proposals, and that is what they either have a template or they ask you to email them.
Sorry to jump in. What do you mean they have to be a funder? So if I can't just beg anybody our money?
Well, you can, but that's not going to be a wise use of your time. So how do I
know who are the funders? How do I know?
Well, they normally send out call for proposals. So they do it over traditional media, digital media, through their networks, through their newsletter. They send it out, and then there is a start time and an end time when submissions have to go in by.
So TVJ would say, well, I'm willing to help out people who are doing some sports thing and stuff.
Yes, so they would have to invite you in.
All right, and then what I don't know.
And then you submit a proposal. So this is your problem statement, your solution statement, your project budget, how long the project is going to be, who benefits. These are just like the very base level information, and then depending on the funder, they will ask you to submit certain documentation.
Yeah. What makes a very strong grant proposal?
Oh,
I find like some people say, okay, this is what they asked for, but they give the basics.
Yes.
What's going to be the thing that's going to make you look at me and say, no, Delia has the edge over Neville, I'm going to give her the money?
Well, Delia, what you want to do is to understand your project. You want to also be able to articulate it in a very specific way. Grant writing is, you don't want to put any fluff in there, no jargon. You want to be to the point. You also want to be concise. You don't want to be rambling on and on and on, because this process is very competitive and lots of people write very, very strong proposals. What you also want to do is to ensure that your data and storytelling skills are on point.
Explain.
Okay, so you may say, okay, we are going to do this project, this football academy, and we are going to benefit 50 youths, right? You want to ensure that you understand how they're going to benefit, right? So yes, it's 50, but what is special about these youths, right? Are they academically advanced? What is unique about them?
That's the selection process.
Right. So you want to ensure that you have hard data and you humanize that.
Yep.
And you explain that to the funder so that they can see themselves as part of your success and your coming up.
Are funders specific to who and what they fund? In other words, TVJ might say, I'm a funder, but I'm not funding football.
Absolutely.
So are funders specific, and would they send out that when you say they will make...
The call for proposal.
They send a call for proposal, so they're very specific, some more than others.
So they say, we're ready to fund anyone in theatre.
Yes.
We're willing to fund people in sport.
Yes.
So they are very specific.
Yes,
so
if it's a theatre, exactly. If it's a theatre grant and you are a sports development non-profit, it's not going to work. Don't waste your time, please. Because it is a very time-intensive process. And you want to ensure that when you are putting your proposals together, that you give yourself enough time.
The other thing is, how I know which company is willing to give the big bucks. In other words, if I ask for 500,000 as opposed to I want 10 million, I mean, how I know which...
Oh, you hire me. I'm joking. Yeah. But what tends to happen is that they have websites and they have social media channels and they have staff that you can email any questions. They normally have, the more established funders, they have these sessions called FAQs where you, it's usually virtual. So you hop on Zoom, hop on Google Meet, and you ask whatever questions you have to clarify and ensure that you are eligible to apply for this particular submission, this grant.
One of the things I discovered, which is why I went back to school, is grant proposals also have specific jargon for specific funders, and that they require things like monitoring and evaluation.
That's crucial.
Right?
That is crucial.
So it's more than just having an idea for a project. It's how will I... So things like those.
Yes.
I mean, how important are they in securing the funding?
It's life or death. Because grant funding globally is $1 billion industry, which means, it's not free money, right? Because you have to provide a return on investment. But Delia, what you want to do is to ensure that you are aligned, right? You want to ensure that you have enough time. And did I answer your question?
Yes, you are answering. You have enough time. You are aligned.
Yes.
And then I just want this, and I was saying in terms of the jargon that's required.
Right. So I try to stay away from using jargons. Yes, there is a specific language, but the language if I could put all of that in a nutshell, is you don't want the fluff. You don't want we are so excited and we are an exciting organization. You want to put as much facts as you can, objective facts. So for example...
No, when I said jargon, I meant like if you're doing social and behavior change, for example, then they're expecting you to say...
They're expecting you to know your stuff.
Right.
They're expecting you to show them why you should partner with them, and you want to communicate to them that you are not a risky investment, that you are confident that you have the team to execute this, given that you are awarded this grant.
Yeah. How are you found?
Excuse me?
How are you found?
Oh, you can find me on social media at Stephylumz, STEPHYLUMZ, on Instagram and Twitter.
Good to see you.
Yes.
Blessings.
All right, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Gotta tell you that Steffi...
Happy Easter when it comes, yeah.
I was going to say, I have to tell you, Steffi Ray led a $121 million disaster relief initiative. Jamaica, 121 million.
Yeah, that was
So she knows her stuff.
That was a great experience. Thank you.
Stephanie Lumley, grant advisor.
Still to come, we hear all about the National Library Reading Competition, but first, here's the second edition of News in 5. Stay with us, please.
Thank you for joining us for News in 5. I'm Carrie-Ann Simpson. Special welcome to our viewers on TVJ International in the Cayman Islands and online at onespotmedia.com. The Prime Minister is sending a clear message to persons who obtain development lands for a specific purpose but fail to fulfill their obligations. Dr. Andrew Holness was speaking at Wednesday's contract signing and groundbreaking ceremony for the Raintree Commercial Complex in St. Catherine.
It is not the intention of government to transfer lands to people for them to become land banks, meaning for them to gain from the capital appreciation in the value of the land and do nothing with it. That's not what this is about. And I want to be clear to the people who have purchased or who intend to purchase that there is a performance clause in the sale agreement, that if you do not do what you proposed in the sale, when you purchase the land, then you would have violated that clause and the land would then return to the UDC at the sale price. I want to be very clear on that. This is not a speculative activity. If you intend to speculate, don't come here.
The complex is being undertaken by the Urban Development Corporation, UDC, to the tune of $3.8 billion. It is expected to attract some 5,000 permanent jobs in several sectors, including logistics and manufacturing. Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Southern Fitz Jackson is calling on the local authority to address the issue of unoccupied lots contributing to a spike in bushfires in a section of Hellshire in Portmore. During a recent visit to the Sandhills Bay and Sandhills Vista, the MP stressed that the issue was putting homes and lives at risk. He says he will be speaking to the Municipal Corporation and the Urban Development Corporation, which developed the two housing schemes.
By law, as I recall, the municipality can put a caveat on the property for failures or breaches that the owners might be guilty of. And many of these owners, private owners, live abroad. And the question of being able to locate them in a timely way to cause them to do what they ought to do.
Firefighters have responded to 95 bushfires alone over a 4-day period more than a week ago. A St. Thomas community has been left in shock following the murder of a man identified as Bozo. According to reports, about 4 a.m. Wednesday, the deceased was at his business establishment when armed men kicked off the back door and demanded money. When he declined, he was shot and killed by the gunmen. Residents of Fonthill are shocked at the gruesome murder.
Bozo is what we could describe as a character who is a good community person, excellent individual, a good businessman. He had a very strong rapport with old and young alike. He was able to be a good role model to the young people in the community. And this morning I can say that Fonthill, St. Thomas and Jamaica has lost an excellent citizen to crime and violence. Buzzer is a community person. It's like the community dead now that Buzzer gone because it's good to everybody. You can't depend on him whether you have money or not. When you get finished, in your cylinder right now, your kitchen, come put it on. You know, see anything you want. If him can't help you, he recommend somebody to help you. We don't know how we are going to manage without this youth in the community.
And that's your news in 5. I'm Carrie Simpson. Join us again for the midday news. On behalf of the entire team, have a wonderful day. Stay tuned for more Smile Jamaica with Neville and Dahlia.
Join the library or buy a book and give it more than just a passing look.
So, folks, the National Reading Competition started back in 1988 and has been the flagship program of the Jamaica Library Service. Joining us this morning to share the details about this year's staging, Jamaica Library Service's Director of Corporate Communications and Marketing, Ryan Green. Good to see you. Morning. Welcome. How are you?
Good morning. I'm quite excited.
Yeah, 1988. I suspect you weren't around them time still. Why we do this? Why you guys do this?
It's all about generating an interest to read, to stimulate literacy, and to develop a reading culture in Jamaica. We want to help our young boys and girls and adults to be more creative citizens, people who are confident and can apply themselves, people who know about their culture as well. Mm-hmm. So it's a drive for us in the Jamaica Library Service, representing the Ministry of Education in that way.
How would, apart from what you're doing now, how would the public know about this? Where you just go in front of your office and ball out and say, "Want to come read?" How they know about this?
Well, if you come to the office and ball out, somebody's going to come and meet you.
Yeah, but how they know about that?
Certainly. We are directing people to our website. That's where they register for the National Reading Competition. And I can tell you that our librarians are in communities right across Jamaica telling people about this competition. Also, the schools, teachers are very much on board with what's happening with the JLS.
Yeah, it opened Tuesday gone here, a couple of days ago, and it goes until when?
And we go until August when we have our televised quiz finals right here at TVJ.
You never had that for a few years, did you?
No, since 2019, since COVID, we paused, but we are back and excited, raring to go. And I can tell you the competitors are elated generally when they get to see themselves on TV, the family gets to come out. So it's a grand affair.
Different age groups?
Different age groups. We have children and adults. We generally say 6 to 99. So wherever you fall in that range, you can join
But what are the specific age groups here?
Okay, 6 to 8, 9 to 12, 9 to 11, 12 to 14 for children. And then we have 15 to 20 adults and 21 and over.
Okay. No, me think I fall in one of them.
We hope so.
15 to 20, I mean that. Do you choose the books, or you can just come with a little hardy boy and say, "This is what I want to read"?
Not at all. We have a technical committee, a very dedicated group of librarians and past educators who go through these books and they select the literature, age-appropriate literature, for both the parish and the national levels.
Then what?
Then what? As I mentioned earlier, we culminate with a grand televised finals. So we'll have up to 65 contestants.
No, I didn't mean that. After I read the book, am I tested on what I read?
Absolutely.
Or you ask me what I read?
Absolutely. And tested in fun ways. Some children have puzzles. They rewrite story endings. They do a letter to the editor. The adults might do a book review. So there are various ways in which we test their skill and abilities.
How popular is this? How many you had last year? How many people got involved last year?
Last year, we celebrated 3,133 participants across the island. And this year, we're aiming for 4,000.
And I suspect the biggest group would be the youngest kids.
Absolutely. The children are excited. The teachers bring them on board. And we celebrate the involvement of the parents as well.
Yeah. Do you find that someone who went at 68 did come back and enter 9 to 11 and come back and enter again? Do you find that?
Absolutely. We have so many high achievers who are repeat competitors, and we celebrate that. We want to keep them reading.
Yeah. Wow. How many books overall?
One might read at a particular level. Maybe up to 3 texts. I'm thinking about the adults. And it varies based on the genres that you're reading because we involve poetry, prose, and financial literacy material.
How does someone win?
How does someone win? You pass through the preliminary round, do the assessments that we discussed earlier, get to the parish finals, you are declared a parish champion, but then we really want you to gun for that national awardee status.
But you win by what? So by the tests that
by
you
the
do?
tests that you do, you're scored throughout the competition. But we're so excited, Neville, for the quiz finals this year. So after the written tests for parish, you come here to TVJ Studios and you have your individual playoffs for your parish.
Yeah.
Fielding questions.
You mentioned 21 and over. Obviously, I was teasing about my age, but old people like me get involved?
Absolutely. Just last year at Kingston and St. Andrew, we had someone who was over 70 years old placing in that competition. And that was the largest group. And we were so proud that someone who was a senior citizen was able to do so well at the competition.
Did you ever do anything like this as a younger man?
Jeez, I wish I did. I wish I did. Because I love reading. Yes.
I didn't as a younger man.
Mm-hmm.
When I got a little older, now I read every single thing I say, every chance I get, I read. But as a younger person, for some reason, I just found it very boring to just sit here and just read. But now, anything I get a chance to read, I do. And I've learned so much from that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so recap. Tell me when, how people want to get involved, where they go. By the way, what they win? They win money also?
Ooh, they win cash prizes. They win products. We have so many corporate sponsors on board, VM Foundation being our major partner. There's a lot at stake, and they enjoy the prizes. Yes.
What did you say, cash? Did you say cash?
Yes, sir.
No,
cash prizes.
So
please enter.
Give me a book now, please. You know, I bring no reading, let me just read it.
No, visit your library. So visit our website or your local library to register for the National Reading Competition.
You didn't come here for this, obviously, but as you said, visit your library, it hit me.
Yes.
Because we use this so often. People really still come in and read books, and people still do that?
Library still a keep. Yes.
Library still a keep.
Library still a keep.
Like that.
And it's something that we recognize, especially within the rural area.
But dropped a bit though, the numbers coming in?
It has diminished in the urban or corporate areas. As you said, more people have their own devices and can access information. But we offer so many other services. Our librarians are going out into schools and communities. Yes, people are still coming in to do their research. We're also bridging the digital divide, offering internet and computer services to so many. So library is very much...
I did say recap, and I did jump in on you. So recap now and tell us how you can get involved, how they can get the books and stuff like that.
Certainly. To register for the National Reading Competition, we invite you to visit our website or visit a local library, your parish library near you, and they'll guide you through that process very seamlessly, and we look forward to having you.
Yep. Our producers do this to us all the time. So I'm going to do it to you now.
All right.
When was the last book you read? What was the last book you read?
The last book I read, it was In This Breadfruit Kingdom by Mervyn Morris. It's an anthology of poems.
Oh, man, bossy, man. Man, bossy.
Thank you so much.
All right. Let me prove to you that I could read. That was Jamaica Library Services Director of Corporate Communications and Marketing, Mr. Ryan Green. Oh, my son. More and smile after the break. Yeah, man. Thank a teacher.
And give it more than just a passing look. For bread alone and shall not slip. Your spoken words of put.
How often do you hear some of your colleagues say, "It's not my job"? Well, this morning we unpacked this very controversial statement. Should it be said, or is it signaling the beginning of the end?
The source is thoughtleader.com. So when you hear someone say that, you might have a few common reactions, it says. One might say the person is not committed to the job. You might believe that the person is lazy. Another common thought is that the person is not a team player. They aren't helpful to you or your teammates, but this doesn't come out of nowhere. It says this is usually a good reason for this phrase appearing. You just need to find out what it is.
Correct.
So in the studio right now, we have videographers. We obviously have two presenters here. We have the videographers. We have someone who's a floor manager. We have the props people. Who are the props people? The people you see, you just saw me and sectionals just now. I know you see this. So when that's over, they pick up the sectionals and they put this in. So if someone asks me and say, just move this table, go over there, and I say, brethren, I know my job that I'm a presenter, we are props people. What I say wrong a while ago?
So technically, there's nothing wrong with what you've said because it is not your job.
Yeah,
but depending on who Neville is, I would know if that's actually saying something else. Because if Neville is the kind of person that would always be doing something, and I said, Neville, can you? And he said, no, it's not my job. Then it tells me that there's a problem that's bigger than just moving the furniture.
Something I want.
Yeah. So I probably want to find out why are you saying that it's not your job? Mm-hmm. And that's important because when somebody makes that statement in a Neville, it's a serious thing to say. Like literally, I feel like it's when an employee gets to a point where they feel they have not been heard or their contribution has not been respected. And so they're at a place now where they're just over it.
Yeah, but in your response to when I said what I do wrong, you said because you knew who I am. Mm-hmm. Well, suppose from day one, I kept saying it's not my job. I'm a presenter. Don't ask me nothing else but a presenter. Mm-hmm. You would have a problem with that from day one. So you know me and I know you. Mm-hmm. And if somebody say, Dale, move that chair there, I know you don't have an issue to do it. And if you say it's not your job, I will say something right with Dale this morning. Mm-hmm. But if from day one, them keep asking, you say, no, man, I know my job. You are what kind of person? You're not a team player?
I wouldn't say you're not a team player. I would say you're one of those team players who will stick to the assignments on the team. However, if there is a situation where really
I'm gonna help.
And I said, Neville, I know it's not in your job description, but can you please move the chair? And you said, no. And then you watch the team sink because it's not your job, then you're not a team player.
When we see the it's not my job mentality come out, this can be a sign that all is not well in the team. Dale just said that. Instead of pitching in, people are refusing to help. When your team has a degree of flexibility, greater resilience exists. If workloads increase, people spend additional effort to pick up the slack. I like that. Personally, and I think both of us, where our professions rely totally on teamwork.
Absolutely.
I couldn't do this without a producer, director, videographers. So I rely, I used to work with a broadcaster who would always tell the producer that your job is to make me look good. Mm-hmm. He would always say that. So don't give him nothing. And sometimes you see we make mistakes and nobody knows where that came from. Sometimes it comes from us, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm not going to put up here and say, well, it's not me make that mistake, it's Delia right it. No, we don't do that. Mm-hmm. But I'm a football coach, players win, coaches lose. Mm-hmm. So if I don't have good players, or I don't have players who are going to win, I am going to get a hard time.
Oh, yes.
If I don't have a good crew working with me, I don't even remember a couple of Fridays ago, we introduced everyone who was working. We got to 30.
Wow.
30 people support us.
Yeah.
Well, 28 support us.
Yeah.
So it depends solely on teamwork for me.
Yeah.
So when I see someone kind of, no, brother, make can't bother with that. Me have an issue with that. Yeah. Now, if there's an issue, as Delia alluded to, then I can understand that. Because if every day I help, and nobody not recognizing that.
Yeah.
And, after a while you say, brother, you can't bother that. Worse if you help and something go wrong and them say, I choose Delia, they help.
Yeah.
Wrong,
Or you've been saying, listen, that's gonna happen. And I said, why are you getting involved? It's not your business. Yeah. Why are you getting involved? It's not your business.
And then it happens.
And then it happens and them say, whoa, it happened. Can you come and help? Then I'm gonna tell you.
No, it's a long time.
Not my circus, not my monkey.
As Simone would say, I am busy that day.
Yeah. So it's important. So for example, we've done plays overseas. So here, if something happens backstage, you would pick it up or whatever. I remember I was in Florida and something, broke, I think. So I was trying, and the guy said, don't touch it. And I said, And he said, don't touch it. That's our job. And I was like, because them unionized, you can't do them work for them. But that being said, they do their jobs all the time.
Yep.
So you don't have to worry. But if you see the slack on you,
Yep.
But something is wrong. Something is wrong.
No, you're right. If that happens, because everyone here helps. Everyone here helps. So the cameraman will say, move the chair a little bit more. Cameraman will push back something. Everyone helps.
And
but you're always going to buck up somebody.
Yeah.
You're always going to buck up somebody. Say, nah, man, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
You know, you're
I heard
always
Thierry
going to
Henry, and I'm going to paraphrase what he said. He said he was arguing with the coach about, not getting the ball and whatever. And the coach was saying to him, you're just thinking about yourself, though. Think about the person who has to get it to you.
Mm-hmm.
How does he get it to you? How does he run? How does he pass? So instead of just saying he's not giving it to me how I want it, look at what he does and try to match his play.
Yeah, man.
And I feel like if you have a team, every member of the team should have an understanding and appreciation of what everybody's job is. So, yes, if there's time, you can pitch in, but also you have to respect people's contribution.
You mentioned, use a football analogy, and I've always thought that individual awards in team sports, sometimes I think it's unfair.
Mm-hmm.
So me score 40 goal and me get MVP.
Yeah.
But I daily give me 40
And the
pass.
balloon door.
Yeah. Daily give me 40 pass and nobody might mention that, you know?
It's counterproductive.
Yeah. There's a videographer here with us right now that when I said everybody help, him said not him. But him no, that is not true. He does help. Him just go and like him a wicked boy sometime, but he does help. So you could have put up your hand a little bit more. When it's necessary, he does help.
More than help. Sometimes him interfere.
First him help. All him a go on. So everyone here will chip in. And then sometimes, we're not perfect, Sometimes you come in and you just know in a mood. And you just go in a little corner and sit down and say, I can't manage it today. I can live with that, But if every single day you just come and you don't want to do nothing and help, no, I have an issue with that. Yeah. But if one man you come in and you say, why, Bert, it's midnight night this morning, so you have to go deal with that yourself. I can live with that.
But great leaders create an environment where everyone
wants to chip in,
wants to make it their job.
I agree with you.
That's what great leaders.
I agree with you. Anyway, him to stop him foolishness, because every day me ask him for help, and him help.
Well, great leaders also know who to put off the team.
They say, boy, you get dropped. All right, folks, that's it. But he said, she said, soon come back. All right, folks, coming up, it's 10 minutes to your health. When grief doesn't go away, exploring complicated grief and PTSD. Soon come. Stay with us, please. So, folks, for a small but significant number of people, grief can cut so deep that getting through a single day seems impossible. Join us this morning to discuss when grief doesn't go away, exploring complicated grief and PTSD, is clinical psychologist Jessa Tufumi Simpson.
Yes.
Got it right?
Yes.
Welcome to Smile. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good.
What is PTSD? What's that?
Well, PTSD stands for post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay. What's the discussion here? Speaking with you guys before about my family, but what's the discussion that is it when we lose someone, and is that what we're talking about when we say grief here? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, I think that's what we want to discuss here, but I like to tell people generally that when we talk about grief, we tend to limit it to just the loss of a loved one, someone dying, but we can grieve different things. We can grieve the loss of a relationship, a pet, the loss of a job, even just moving.
Goals.
Yeah, the loss of a goal. So grieving isn't limited to death, but that is the context in which we often use it. And I believe it's the center of the discussion that we're going to have.
Let's use that before Delia this morning, because I've said before that I think grief is selfish. I tell you why I say that, because if you're a believer, and I am, I lost my mom and dad, I have to think that they're in a better place. But me still vex them not with me. That is where the selfishness comes in, doesn't it?
It's not selfish though, because you want them with you. And we have to validate and acknowledge and just own how we feel. And so I'm grateful that I still have my parents, but if they were gone, I would absolutely want them with me. And I'm a believer too. So yes, they're in heaven and they're with God and it's wonderful for them. But I want you here. You're my people to talk to. And so it's not selfish in acknowledging that this is a desire that I have. And that's okay.
What defines it as complicated or prolonged? What's the difference in that type of definition when you talk about grief?
Okay, so what makes it complicated or prolonged is the intensity of that desire to have them back, or that preoccupation with death or the loss of that person, as well as the impairment to your daily functioning. And so, for example, Neville, you mentioned that you've lost quite a few people, but you still go to work, you're still coaching, you're still showing up to the important things, you're still taking care of yourself. And so your daily functioning has not been impaired, right? With complicated grief, you find that they're not functioning as they used to. This is now, according to the DSM-5, it's now been like 12 months and we can't get you integrated back into regular activities. You can't enjoy things. And so when we lose someone, sometimes we feel as if it's wrong to be happy, it's wrong to feel joy or be excited by something, which is not the case. And so it's normal to have grief and a good memory or a good experience happening. But with complicated grief, it's just bleak. I can't experience any of those more positive emotions anymore.
Does that have anything to do with who you lost?
It can, absolutely. And so the level of attachment does impact your ability maybe to move through the grieving process as normally as one would expect. And so how attached was I? And apart from that is what other factors are there? And so are there other traumas at play? Are there unresolved issues there? So for example, if you lost someone who you absolutely love, but you lost them when you guys were in a fight, for example, that could complicate things because now you have grief and then you have guilt as well. And so there are different things that come into play to decide, well, is this complicated or not?
How often do you see grief overlap with post-traumatic stress disorder?
Well, honestly, I haven't seen it overlap, but what the research tells us and what I have observed in practice is that there is a correlation in the sense that someone who has PTSD is more likely to develop complicated grief if they lose someone significant to them, or someone who is struggling with complicated grief if they experience a trauma or like a big T trauma especially, then they're more likely maybe to have complicated grief. So there's that correlation, but personally I haven't seen the overlap.
Yeah.
It's a phrase that I don't even like to hear when they say one size fits all. I don't think one size fits.
Not at all.
Not even in clothes. But are there solutions to this? Or do we, or is it a different thing you're going to tell me, I mean, that you tell somebody else?
There are general principles that work for everyone, but how it's applied varies. So,
what does that mean?
So for example, talk therapy will generally work for anybody if we're dealing with grief. Just talking about it, what you loved about the person, what their loss means, what does life now mean for you, how do you now have to shift maybe child care, resources, social support. Talk therapy can help you figure that out and you get to talk these things through. However, what Delia might want to talk about in therapy will be different from what you want to talk about. And we might have to take a different approach because what if there's, say, trauma attached to Delia's experiences and there's no trauma attached to yours, for example. And so while talk therapy will work for everyone, the approach and what is discussed and the tools that are used will work. For example, deep breathing could work for her, and you take a deep breath and you feel like, oh God, my heart racing, which is not what we're wanting to achieve. So I might teach her deep breathing, I might teach you progressive muscle relaxation as tools to help keep you calm and to ground you, that type of thing. And so, yes, there are tools that we can use, there are techniques that work, but it also has to be individualized.
How important is it for communities, and I say community, it could be school, work, the community that you live in, your neighborhood, to recognize grief and the complications of it, and therefore offer support to their employees, to your students, to your neighbors when they are going through grief?
Oh, it's extremely important. It's absolutely essential that we know when someone is not doing well. And I think as a society, we have a far way to go. In all fairness to us, I think we've come through so much grief. We've come through so much. There's so much that has happened as a society. And I think since COVID, we're probably doing a little better, just acknowledging that mental health and mental illness are a thing. But communities have to support people. You have to pay attention. Has this person's mode of operation changed? So in the previous segment, you were discussing if you know the person and you know, say, normally they would do things and they're not doing it anymore. That could say, okay, something's off. And you probe that to say, well, what's going on? And if you know that they had a recent loss, you know that, okay, it could be tied to it. Are they taking care of themselves? Are they still participating? When you notice that things are not the way they should be, you offer the support, you offer a listening ear. I think one of the things we don't do very well is just ask people what they need. We assume, okay, they want to talk. Some people don't want to talk. I've had clients come into my office and it's like, I just want to lay down. I'm just like, lay down.
Yeah.
And they spend the session just laying down and we don't speak because they don't want to talk. That's not what they need. And so organizations, employers, communities, we need to have policies in place that allow people the space without worrying, oh, my bill's not going to pay and I'm not going to get no money, to be able to just feel all their feelings and know that they can still come back when they're ready. And if you find that they're not coming back, then let's get professional help.
Yep. You mentioned talk therapy, you mentioned breathing exercises. If I come to you again, lost mom and dad and I come to you, you try to get me to learn how to deal with it, or you try to make I just get it out of my mind and say, well, I'm going to know, you know, brother. So you have to move on in life. What you?
I'd be ridiculous to try to get you to stop thinking about it. That's not going to happen. These are important people to you. And so it's learning now how to live life without these people. Yeah, and so what happens with complicated grief, I'd like to describe it as if the person who is still alive has died with the person who passed. They've just stopped living. At that point, nothing else has happened. And so it's how do we get you to acknowledge them in your daily life? How do you still move on? How do you engage positively with yourself, face those emotions? So when it comes up, because what happens with grief is, the strangest things will remind you of the person. You're walking and the breeze blows and a certain smell hits you and you remember so vividly. And it's almost as if, wow, I thought I was past this. And it comes at you. That's grief. And so there's no getting over grief. There's no getting past grief. It's learning to live. And I can see this is still fresh for you. I'm so sorry.
Oh man, I'm good. Thanks for coming. Very well explained.
Yes.
Lessons.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.
Clinical psychologist Jessitumi Simpson. Join us next week for another 10 minutes to your health. Gonna change energy around.
Yeah. You know, they do this deliberately because they know they're going to beat me with these Bible phrases.
Because I go to church.
Well, I was
very good at going to church.
I was an altar boy.
But were you attending church?
No,
you did in a church, and were you attending?
I was an altar boy 431 years ago. I think all the Bible verse them changed since then. All right? So come, stay with us.
Right, it's time to brush up on your Bible knowledge for our fun stop this morning. We're going to get you prepared for the Easter services. So, you know, you're kind of not left behind. So Neville and I...
And Jess.
Me not trust Jess.
You not trust that.
Are here to assist you. We got some questions. See if you can answer them before Nevs and I. Let's see how good you are at home.
Dale and I are on a team, or we're going against each other? Hello?
You see this now?
No
Jess
team.
never in the
No,
studio.
she said no team.
You
so
see,
Jess
Jess
and
never in the studio, you know. I'm going to ask if me and him not the pan team, and him abandon me.
No.
Like how Judas.
I will never do that. All right,
Judas.
come. Give us the first question. How many hours was Jesus on the cross? 3 hours, 6 hours, 9 hours, or 12?
6.
Jess, you agree? Eh?
I think so.
No, you know, so me done with Jess. Jess says she thinks so. No, but how can I help that you think so? All right, Delia says 6.
Is it his time or is my time?
A 6?
A 6 man. 9 to 3.
So we know you're the ding. When
9 to 3.
Yeah, but you never even give me a chance to forgive them all up.
No, you see, because you say we're not on the same team. So since we're not on the same team.
But folks, me have to admit, say, it look like my help, I rang help me think. Just say, I think so.
Jess is not the present help
right
in the time of need.
All right.
This is just right there. It's 6?
Yes.
All right. How many times did Peter deny Christ after he abandoned the Lord?
3.
Me know that.
Clive, oh yeah, Bob.
How Clive you get that? Well, me didn't know that one. It's 3. Hey, 1 all. Oh, to be fair, just did put up the 3. So she back on my team again. 1 all. Which disciple cut off the ear of the high priest's servant in an attempt to protect Jesus from being taken as a prisoner?
Peter.
But Jesse Peter a long time, you know.
All right, so I thought we were going to get options.
Yeah, but them never put up this option.
But there was no that's what I was waiting for. The option.
Yeah, but just but
see, that's what I was waiting for before answering. But okay, let's go ahead.
So just let off Peter from long time. All right, come in again. Which disciple cut? Did I not say that? After Jesus died, whom did he send to help his followers?
I didn't hear that.
The Roman army, John the Baptist, the Holy Spirit. Only if I make again. First thing, people at home are listening, and I mean that sincerely because they are going to work and not everybody have a chance. So I like tell them the different options before. But they're Holy Spirit, Jess, what happened in the temple is a sign that the death of Jesus made way for people to approach God. Jess.
I'm not hearing the
She's waiting on the options.
The veil was torn from top to bottom.
Yes. A.
The lampstand was knocked over. The water in the wash basin turned to wine. The ceiling disappeared. And both Delia and Jess said, well, Jess, because I wouldn't get that one. What happened in the temple as a sign that the death of Jesus made way for people to approach God?
That's it. The answer
was
was A.
That was the veil was torn from top to bottom. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we said that already. Next. After Jesus' death, who took Jesus' body away with Pilate's permission?
I'll allow you to read everything.
Jesus' mother, you know already. Mary, Nicodemus, Simon Peter, hold on. Or Joseph of Arimathea. Because
Joseph of Arimathea. B.
Just know that. And she didn't know that. I didn't know that. Just the amount of television time you get this man. I didn't know that either. Who was compelled to carry Jesus' cross behind him? Simon of, is it Cyrene or Cyrene?
Cyrene.
Barabbas, Peter, or Caiaphas?
Peter.
Simon.
She says Simon, and you say
Well,
Peter.
Simon Peter.
Well, I know.
No, not Simon of Cyrene. To carry the cross?
Yeah.
Yes, she's
Simon.
correct.
You say Simon?
Yeah,
she's correct. She's correct. I said Peter.
Yes.
She's correct.
Yes. I was going to say me or married, but I think that's that marriage. That was the last one.
That was the last one.
Yes, I'm here, you win still quietly, you know. Aye.
Oh.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks.
Never, you know, me just hear the cock crow 3 times. Me just...
You're a good sport. Thanks a lot. Yeah?
Thanks, Jess.
Blessings.
All right.
All right. We go for a break, Livers?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll go for a break. Soon come. The last time I introduced the group, I said I had the privilege of hearing them. And Daly and I had the privilege of hosting their awards ceremony for their 20th anniversary. So they're still celebrating the 20th anniversary. I think it ends in May, right, Mish? Yeah. Ends in May. So, well, the anniversary go from last year to this year. I never hear nothing so.
1 year is a whole year.
Yeah, good all next year hear themselves to the 20th. But the ensemble was formed as part of the 20th anniversary celebrations. And apparently the last time well, this says a choir, but now them gone from choir to ensemble. Boy, them both say bad. They'll have that in the 10th anniversary. So we're going to hear from them just after we tell you thank you so much for watching. Know where the kids are all the time and tell them that you love them. Join me tomorrow. I'll start with Simone. We start at 6 and we have an edutaining show about Easter season, and we'll learn about Tai Chi with I.
See, the tea or the actual Tai Chi?
Tai Chi. What's the word for today? We don't have a word for today.
Well, you said it, know where the kids are, which is important. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. It says, lean not unto thine own understanding. That's how we're going to end today.
A wonderful group will take us out. Blessings and love, people.
Ride on, King Jesus. No